700 international Indian students were scammed to come here to Canada, and this entire saga came to light a few days ago. In this video, we will talk about, or I will talk about, the entire situation and how this scamming happened and your due diligence that you must certainly do and practice in order to save yourselves from these scammers. Hello everyone, this is Risey and this is Quest Canada. These international students came to Canada or landed to Canada way back in 2018-2019. And that therefore means that they have already spent half a decade, 5 years of their lives studying and qualifying themselves with a Canadian experience. Everything came to light when these international students were already applying for their PR. Remember, it has already been 5 years since they landed, and therefore they are already on their trajectory to having their permanent residency. But all the fakeness and the forgery had already came to light, and because of the forged documents, the Border Security or IRCC definitely will not allow them to stay in Canada because of the fake documents. The con artist's name is Mr. Mishra and the company name is Education Migration Services. The entire saga again started with a fake documentation. Now, how clever or how cunning this person is was that he essentially used the forged document or the LOA, the forged admission letter, to apply for the study permit of the students. These students eventually were approved with a study permit. But what he did was that he did not allow these students to go to Humber College. They were eventually switched to a different school or a different semester to study, and therefore the con or the fakeness of the LOA were not enlightened or didn't come to light during the time. Because if these students had studied in accordance with the details of the LOA, they would have known absolutely at that time that the admission letters were fake. But he was so cunning and he was clever to address the issue way ahead of time, and had asked these students to either transfer school or transfer the semester or the intake where they will start their schooling. Some of us will argue, well, they are the victim. They were scammed. They were the people who invested time, money, and resources and effort, all this half a decade, and yet they will have to suffer the consequences. Guys, you have to remember, ignorance is not an excuse. Every single person has got the responsibility to do their own due diligence. It is your responsibility and my responsibility to understand the entire process and make it a point and make it an absolute point that you know what you are getting yourselves into. This is one of the main reasons that I always tell my students, never ever issue or provide fake or false documentations. Do not ever forge any document. You have to declare every single important detail in accordance with your profile to the IRCC, because perhaps in the beginning you will be able to go around the system. You will indeed receive your study permit, but at the end of the day, when everything is done and dusted, when push comes to shove, the IRCC, the Government of Canada, will still have and certainly have got the ability and all the capability to shed light on the situation of every single applicant. In this case, it took them 5 years to understand the scenario here, and you do not want that to happen to you. You do not want to spend money. You do not want to invest time and resources just to be frauded and understand and realize after half a decade that you had been frauded. And therefore, you have to do your own due diligence. But the question is, what are the due diligence that you are responsible for? The very first thing you have to remember and truly imbibe in your thinking is that there is no such thing as guaranteed approval. No one can ever tell you that your application is guaranteed. It doesn't matter how great your financial background is. It doesn't matter how great your educational or professional background is. There is no such thing as guaranteed, because at the end of the day, the agent, the consultant, the mentor, no one knows and no one owns the system. No one owns the IRCC system. The visa officer who will have a look and evaluate your application have got all the prerogative to truly understand your situation. And even then, these visa officers have got a set of ethics and standards and regulations that they will have to follow to either refuse or approve your application. If an agent, a consultant tells you, give me these documents, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're absolutely 100% approved, then you have to run as fast as you can. You have to run as far as you can, because these people are absolute con artists. And if you are an aspiring international student and you want to be absolutely certain that you are not scammed or conned, taken advantage of really in your journey of becoming an international student, get in contact with us, info@questcanadaca.com, or visit our website, that's questcanadaca.com, and fill out our free eligibility assessment. Number 2 is job offer. Here in Canada, no employer will ever ask you to pay them to give you a job. Because an employer, a legitimate employer, requires, if a legitimate employer truly requires a worker, then the legitimate employer will have to shoulder the expenses. The employer will not ask you for an upfront payment in order for them to hire you. If an agent or a consultant asks you for a certain amount of money upfront in order for you to have a job, it is an absolute red flag, and these people are absolute con artists. These people are scammers. Run away as fast as you can. Do not ever fall for such kind of false promises. If it is too good to be true, guys, then it is too good to be true. It will have to be a scam. Number 3 is consultation. If an agent or a consultant does not offer you any consultation, then this is a red flag you have to consider. Consultation is when you get to ask your questions, you get to clarify your doubts, you get to truly understand the process and what are the services and the capabilities of a certain consultant or agent is. If these people do not require or do not offer you consultation, then this is a red flag you have to truly consider. Sometimes a consultant will offer consultation, but you will have to pay for it. But paying for it for $100 is absolutely worth your peace of mind if you truly want to invest in your future of coming to Canada. And with Quest Canada, we do regularly conduct free clarity calls, and these are free clarity calls. You do not have to pay for them. In these free clarity calls, I try to understand deeply your situation. I evaluate your situation, and right there and then during the free clarity call, I will advise you whether or not you are qualified to be an international student. And I will certainly be honest with you. If you are not qualified, I will tell you upfront, I do not think that you are qualified because of this 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons. But if I believe that you are qualified in accordance with my evaluation, then I will tell you, I think you are qualified, and these are the possible next steps if you are absolutely certain of moving to Canada via study permit. Number 4, certainly not the last one that you should consider, is that these people will promise you heaven and earth. These people will promise you everything rosy and green and everything great, and you will have your permanent residency in less than 2 years, in less than 3 years. It is as if they own the country and they have got the path all already prepared for your journey. If these people promise you heaven and earth and all beds of roses of the kind of living and lifestyle here in Canada, absolutely do not go for it. Do not fall for the trap. These people will promise you, promising